Trigger warning for DV. So this was posted in the Africa Voice subreddit. It's actually been posted several other places as well. A viral video of Nigerian lawyer Opeyemi Mabawonku violently beating his wife, Abiola, former lead HR at Paystack, right in front of their two daughters, has sparked a debate on DV that is becoming the norm in African society. Like I said, trigger warning for DV. You can't really hear much of what is being said, but the body language is telling. And you see the two little girls right there. He had told them to get out, and they get out. And now you could, like I said, look at their body language. You don't really need to hear what they're saying specifically. And now here she is trying to put distance between him and her, trying to busy herself, or, maybe this is nervousness because she knows what's coming. And then obviously you see right here him throwing things at her like he is pitching for a baseball team. You see he has like a lamp right there. He is really trying to harm this woman. Then he's imposing his body weight over her. This is just a terrible situation. I don't know why some of the comments. Top Nabula says it's not becoming a norm. It has been the norm, but it's getting worse. I bet people around them will ask her what she did to make him beat her, instead of asking him what's wrong with him that he resorted to violence instead of interacting with his wife reasonably. Those poor children should not be witnessing the assault by their father on their mother. Sadly, it's clear that they've seen such incidents before by the way they just remain there. My cousin was unalived by her husband 3 years ago after years of DV. Her in-laws just blamed the victim and argued that had she been a good wife, it wouldn't have happened. To be clear, she never cheated on him or disrespected him. The incident that resulted in her death was that she decided to go back to work. He had previously made her give up her career to be a wife and mother, but when he started to spend more money on his mistress, he provided less and less for the family, so my cousin found a job. Her husband said that her doing so made him look like he couldn't provide for his family, but that was exactly what happened. He was no longer providing for his family. And that's what these men do. They get you into a place where you're financially dependent on them, and then they try to control your behaviors. But then when they can't control you anymore, they will snap, or some of them will snap. She hadn't fought with him over it. She had just found a job. Both were well-educated people and had excellent careers till he made her stop working to stay at home and be a housewife. Absolutely nothing wrong with being a housewife if both parties agree that's what will be the best for the family, but she had been coerced into giving up her career. Now she is dead and he is serving 26 years in prison. He'll be 64 years old when he gets out, but she's gone forever. Their children are being raised by relatives. DV is a global issue. Until we start holding men accountable instead of always blaming the victims, there won't be a positive change. I know men can also be victims of DV, and that's also unacceptable, and the female perpetrators must be held to account too. However, by far worldwide, men tend to be the perpetrators and women the victims. Where is this incident taking place? Do they have CCTV in their home? Here at the bottom where she had to both sides things is a mess because men overwhelmingly are responsible for the violence perpetrated against people, men included. So the violence issue needs to be handled on their end and everybody can be safer. Stomp Along says weak men abuse women. Desperate Horror says their anger is never taken out on other men, just like parents who would never attack other adults but hit their children at the tiniest inconvenience. It's a cowardice and bully behavior. This video makes me so angry. I couldn't watch the whole thing. The Titan says exactly this. You'll have some mouth breathers saying women should control their tongue or not provoke, but if a guy provokes some of these guys, they'll just be sitting quietly like mice. South Africa says, this little peen, I'm not using CUNT for men anymore. This little peen deserves a beating of his own. Those poor children having to grow up with this and the wife living in fear. On Twitter, this man named Kazad says the reason Nigerian men get kicked out of their house when they bring their wives to the UK is they expect to continue this barbaric behavior. Once they get the repercussions, they buy a ring light and they start advising others not to bring their wives abroad. So he is saying that these men basically become podcast bros after getting kicked out, despite the fact that, they're doing all of this violent stuff. Some of the retweets. My self defense says they know well not to do this in countries where women's rights are respected and cases of abuse are handled adequately. Futurism took exception to this man saying this. He says, you had an opportunity to say some Nigerian men, but you chose to include yourself as one of them because some impulsive reactions that I can't understand. He's like, not all men, not all men. V2 says not just Nigerians, but a lot of other demographics as well in the UK, Caribbean, and other African countries and Southeast Asian men. These dudes for real be beating their wives in their home countries, and they want to bring such behavior to the West. They will find out though. Muiwa says British police had to organize a seminar and warn Nigerian women on massive harassments and reports of their husband to authority. That speaks a lot. Your take is wrong. Maduka took exception to that man saying that this is why they get kicked out of the home and then they buy a ring light and tell men not to bring their wives over. Maduka says, dude, you're talking a lot of nonsense, but let's not just act like we didn't notice it. How come other nationalities avoid Nigerian women like a plague? So let's shift the blame to the woman right now. How come other African and Western women rush Nigerian men and they don't have these stories? Okay, Western women are rushing Nigerian men. Okay, Guy, your colleague Solomon Bucci is now speaking differently since marriage. A fool at 40 may not be savable anyways. Ijoma responds with, other women rush Nigerian men because Nigerian men suddenly become calm like ice block when dating or marrying them. Una start washing plates and sweeping house and treating them like queens, but nah, for a Nigerian women body, Una they turn to lion and tiger. So they start attacking the Nigerian women. They Russian the Nigerian woman like they're a tiger or a lion. Then Maduka says, I'm a Nigerian man witnessing this in different continents. Okay, you're a Nigerian woman with zero knowledge of what I'm saying, giving a reason for all that. If your theory is right, why aren't they rushing you Nigerian women? Nah, the major difference between most of you and Black American, I guess, women is just accents. Leave Nigeria first, you'll witness the reality. For now, let's all enjoy your online delulu. This person says they're going to call you a pick me. Zara says protect this uncle by all means. KMD says they think say nah, Nigeria is where stupidity and arrogance is worshipped and tolerated. Freshly Baked says, let me follow you because you just have too much sense. So it's a mixed bag in here in the Twitter comments where some people are just like blaming the women for it, of course, because women get victim blamed when men are the ones that are supposedly the logical ones and don't lead with emotions. Uh, but I really hate the same siding it. Men can be victims of DV and all, but where are all of these cases of men being unalived and these high DV rates sending men to the hospital? Please show me. Show me. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This is an important tweet thread to discuss because it has history of what women went through in this country. People act like our rights cannot be rolled back, and they are currently being rolled back. And so many people don't know and understand that literally we just got many of these rights within the last 50 years. So Laura says, today is the 50th anniversary of women gaining the right to have mortgages, business loans, and credit cards in their own names. When my mom got divorced in 1972, she had one credit card from college in her name, but no credit rating because all of the financial records automatically went to my dad by law. We lived with my grandparents until she could build up enough credit to rent an apartment. Financial independence for American women happened within my lifetime. I beg of you all, do not turn the clock back next Tuesday. Do not keep helping these people erode our rights, because people act like, these are separate incidents or these are separate issues, and they are not. It's the slow chipping away of our rights, just like women had to slowly claw for these rights. In the thread, she gave us an article. The 50th anniversary of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act reminds us there's still work for women to do. And this is just abbreviated ECOA. Let's get into this article. I have vivid memories of the day my mother rushed into our home in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania to show me her new credit card. It was 1974. I was just a little girl, but I'd seen one before. What made this card special was that it was printed with her name, Reva Robinson. Before that, it was always my father's name embossed in the plastic. Until the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, ECOA, was signed into law 50 years ago today, banks required women to have a male cosigner, typically a husband or a father, on applications for credit cards, loans, and mortgages. It was an archaic policy in an archaic system that was designed to fail women and for women to fail. Because if a woman couldn't get a credit card, she couldn't build credit. Without established credit, she couldn't secure a loan, invest in her education, buy a home, or build assets and wealth. If she wanted to start a business, these were all obstacles she had to overcome. Overnight, the ECOA changed the trajectory of American women's lives. The law not only allowed women to apply for credit in their own names, it also made it illegal to deny someone credit because she was a woman, married, or pregnant. And it banned the practice of denying credit based on the assumption that a woman might get pregnant and leave the workforce. In short, this law transformed a credit card from being a permission slip from a man who controlled your finances to a symbol of financial freedom. Societies often discriminate against women in the name of protecting them. Back then, women were told they didn't need to worry about technical subjects like finance, or worse, that it was over their heads. The results were corrosive. How many women doubted their worth, their potential, even their basic understanding of money? How many women didn't dare to dream or even acknowledge an ambition because they couldn't imagine a path forward? As my friend Billie Jean King has said, you have to see it to be it. I often think about the effects of constantly seeing someone else's name where yours should be. The small daily reminder that your life, your decisions, your destiny are being dictated by someone else. I'm fortunate that from a young age, my mother said to me, Tori, you have to be financially independent. She taught me how important it was to take care of myself and to never ever depend on anyone. It was a lesson she learned from her own mother, a barrier-breaking violinist and orchestra leader in the 50s. Please know and understand, this whole feminism stuff, it has been taking root for a long time because women have seen what happens when they are financially dependent on a man. It can go terribly wrong. So here is the writer with her mother. That's that picture. Launching my own business 20 years ago was a way for me to chase my dreams and secure my future. And part of that dream was to start a foundation so I could help other women follow theirs. There has been so much progress we can and should celebrate. In the past 5 years alone, women have started businesses at record rates, nearly twice the rate at which men have. And women entrepreneurs have been uniquely resilient in the face of tough economic conditions, from the pandemic to inflation to high interest rates. But this journey is far from over. Women, especially women of color, are still held back by outdated policies, laws, and cultural norms. In many cases, our most basic freedoms, including control over our own bodies, are being stripped away. Women still have less access than men to the education, networks, and communities they need to succeed. And they continue to face biases and stereotypes in the workplace. And despite our proven success, women founders still receive just 2% of venture capital funding. For Black women is even way, 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 way less than that. These gaps in access and equality don't just hold women back, they hold everyone back. Because when women succeed, They transform families, communities, and culture. They don't strengthen the economy. When we don't allow women, half the population, to reach their full potential, no one succeeds. It's an understatement to say we have a lot of work to do and we all have a role to play. First, the private sector needs to support women entrepreneurs, plain and simple. Investors should hold themselves accountable by building portfolios that represent the true diversity of American founders. That starts with examining their unconscious biases around gender, race, and age. We know VCs ask very different questions of men and women entrepreneurs, often focusing on potential gains for men and potential losses for women. The underlying assumption is that women are more likely to fail. I don't personally know a single male investor who wants this inequality to persist. They care deeply about this issue, and we need them to be part of the conversation and the solution. But business cannot create profound systemic change on its own. As individuals, we each have the right and the power to advocate for women's freedoms, support corporations that invest in women's entrepreneurship, and vote for leaders who will enact policies that advance gender equity, not just because they're good for women, but because they're good for us all. This means voting for leaders who will protect investments in small business tax credits, expand government contracts awarded to women owned businesses, and support a workforce that reflects the many different backgrounds and strengths of the American people. It means voting for leaders who will finally address the child care crisis, because we will never have equity in the workplace if we don't have equity at home. And it means voting for leaders who will always support women's fundamental rights to make their own decisions about their own lives. As polarized as our politics are, there is no reason why people on both sides of the aisle at the local, state, and federal level can't come together on behalf of entrepreneurs of all backgrounds, not least because small businesses are the backbone of our economy. I think a lot about how my mother must have felt that day she came home with her credit card, a beacon of opportunity that her daughter would realize years later. I think about the career she could have had, the goals she could have fearlessly pursued. I'm forever grateful to her, to my grandmother, and to every woman who fought so that we could live out our dreams. For me, that's what the anniversary of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act is really all about. The best way to honor the generations of women who paved the way is to continue the hard work of making sure everyone, regardless of their gender, has the opportunity to accomplish whatever they set their mind to. That is true freedom. Many of us are the way that we are today because of the strength that our foremothers had to have, how much they had to fight to get to where we are today. And many of us just don't want to go back to a time when men had sole control of us. W.V. Bobby says, I couldn't get a car loan when I graduated from college without my dad co-signing. I had a teaching job, but it didn't matter. When I bought my house in 1979, they had just started letting single women buy houses without a male in the picture. Some men want those days back. Lynn says, 10 years later, for me, it was still tricky fighting for a gas card with a $200 limit. I rented an apartment from a family friend and then moved to Texas with no stinking branch banking, so dashing across Giganto County to cash a check by Friday. I still marvel at getting groceries delivered. Yes, we have certainly come a long way. This woman says, my mom was actually fired for divorcing around the same time. You could get fired for getting pregnant or getting married in some cases, and in some cases getting divorced. These men had too much control over women's lives. All right, y'all, we need to know these histories. We need to know these stories. So jump in the comments. Let me know your story. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Who is it? Who is it? Hi. Have you all seen the ad where these couples are going into the voting booth, and it's being narrated by Julia Roberts, and she's basically saying, ladies, you can vote how you want to, even if it's different than your dad. Well, Gene and other conservatives have taken exception to this. They do not like this ad because they're like, the man should get the vote, and the man is out here protecting and providing. And Gene here says, I'm at a lost for words at how condescending this is towards women. Do Dems think marriages are stuck in the 50s? No, we think that y'all are stuck in the 50s. We think that y'all want to keep rolling women's rights back. We think that y'all want to go back to a time where women were second-class citizens and keep chipping away at the rights that women won. That is the reason why we are vociferously against everything that the GOP is standing for. Daryl says, bro, I phone bank for Harris, and this happens all the time. God awful husband swearing up and down no Democrats live there, and when the wife is a Democrat. Women who whisper, I agree with you, and hang up the phone because they don't want their MAGA lunatic husbands to hear. And we've seen the social media posts where the husband is a raging MAGA and the woman is just at her wit's end. This happens. This man, Tom, says, that's why I make my wife do a mail-in ballot so I can make sure she votes for Trump. She's not going to vote behind my back. Man, so many conservatives took exception to this. It has been a wild thing to watch. Fox's host, Jesse Waters, was melting down about it. I've seen a video of Charlie Kirk melting down about it. It's crazy. They really think that women are the property of men and that they should just share a brain cell, that one brain cell of their husband, the woman is just supposed to share. The Road Just Travel says, loves my family in the bio. What conservative men call love is terrifying and likely to become a Dateline special. So I did have to go back and look at Tom Cox, conservative who loves my family. This is what love is to them. Controlling. More MAGA men being triggered. Jesse Waters says, if I found out my wife secretly voted for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair. That violates the sanctity of our marriage. That would be D-Day. Here's the video.
Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris. That's the same thing as having an affair. That to me,
oh my God! Let him finish. Go, Jesse. It's our day.
That violates the sanctity of our marriage.
Preach on. Yes.
What else is she keeping from me?
Exactly.
What else has she been lying about?
Why would she lie to you? Have
Jesse
you threatened her? Why would she lie to you?
Oh, they want me to tease.
Why would she do that and then vote Harris? Why would she say she was voting Trump
not the problem,
and then voting Harris? And I caught her. So and then she said, I lied to you for the last 4 years.
So you admit you intimidate
It's
people.
over, Emma. That would be D-Day.
And Jesse Waters would know a thing or two about violating the sanctity of marriage, considering he is a cheater who cheated with one of his coworkers while he was still married to his first wife. So just keep that in mind. He knows what a cheater is. And this is probably the reason why he and Trump are like this, because they're all cheaters and have no integrity. So they all match. So this headline, Fox News host Jesse Waters, 41, shares photo from his wedding to former producer who is 27. He's 41. She's 27 at the time. He had an affair with while married to his first wife. So he's a cheater. He has no integrity, but he's talking about voting for Kamala Harris would be a violation to the sanctity of his marriage. And to continue the conversation about how he is a manipulative person who lacks integrity, someone posted this, the irony. Jesse Waters cheated on his first wife with his second wife. He got his second wife, a coworker, to date him by letting the air out of her tires and asking if she needed a ride. He sounds like an abusive and manipulative partner. He went on his show and said this. People wouldn't have known how much of a manipulative liar he was without him doing this, outside of the fact that he's just a cheater.
Go anywhere. She needed a lift. I said, hey, you need a lift? She hopped right in the car.
Does she know this story?
No, she doesn't know the story.
Does she watch your show?
Jesse Jr. does.
You're basically the Zodiac killer.
It has a happy ending.
Really?
Yes, we're married. Did you really do that?
Is that the first time you did it, or did you use that before?
It works like a charm.
Oh, okay.
Jack Smith, one of the people that's prosecuting Donald Trump, took to Twitter to say, Dear women, your vote is your own. It does not belong to your spouse. It is not a contractual obligation to your marriage. If your husband believes you need to vote the way he does, you're married to an a-hole. I told y'all Charlie Kirk really took exception to that ad. Lego Doc says, women, don't let your husband dictate your voice. MAGA men want control over you. Just listen to Charlie Kirk ranting on how it is cheating if a wife doesn't vote like her husband. They want to bring us back to when women had no right and no say. All right, and then they show this MAGA wife costume right here. Basically, women have no say. Just shut up and vote how your husband wants you to. All right, y'all. I am going to play that Charlie Kirk clip. You can swipe away if you want. Please just let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
People to basically lie to their husbands, which they are promoting, by the way, which I find that entire advertising campaign so repulsive. It is so disastrous. It is just like
I'll show it in a minute.
It is the embodiment of the downfall of the American family. I think it's so gross. I think it's so just nauseating where this wife is wearing you'll show it, wearing the American hat. She's coming in with her sweet husband who probably works his tail off to make sure that she can go, you know, and have a nice life and provides for the family. And then she lies to him saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. And then she votes for Kamala Harris as her little secret in the voting booth. Kamala Harris and her team believe that there will be millions of women that undermine their husbands and do so in a way that it's not detectable in the polling.